Hi, I've been playing around with volumes in geometry nodes recently, and I hit a few little snags, specifically with trying to assign materials to them, and this happens in both cycles and in Eevee. But in this particular video I'm going to focus on cycles because I'll make another video for Eevee. So let's quickly jump into geometry nodes, and you'll see that I've swapped my default cube for a UV sphere, and I've turned it into a volume, and then I've assigned a material to it, and then put it through the output. So let's go to the material in our shading node, and you'll see that I've attached a principal volume. You could attach an emission or a scatter or an absorption, but this is just the one I've chosen because it's got everything in it. And I'm not going to cover anything too advanced. I'm just going to cover the density and the emission strength right here, because the main problem I had was trying to get it to produce an emission, and that's when I bumped into the other issues that I found. The first thing I did when trying to do this was I changed the density to 0, and I put the emission strength to 1. And nothing happened. In fact, nothing at all happened. My ball disappeared. You can see that something has happened on the Eevee-like viewport thingy, but that's partly because it's like an Eevee cycles hybrid, I think. I don't really understand it. We can still see it in this view, but that doesn't help us. And if we go to render, there's nothing there. I'm not going to do anything. So I think we can conclusively say that the emission has not applied to this particular body. And the way I found to get around this was I added a volume info node and used the density, which it collects from geometry nodes, so it knows the density where it is, and we can simply plug this into, well, first of all let's plug it into the density here, and you'll see we've got our, let's put our emission strength down. So we've plugged our density into the density, and we got our ball back. Now, one thing I noticed quickly here is if we go in here, we can still see a kind of like cube around it, and this is a problem that goes to Eevee. This density attribute here is going through and causing problems. I assume it's a bug. However, if we change the name of this to something that isn't density, I'm going to put an underscore underneath it. That fixes our problem in this viewport. It does not make any difference to anything else in cycles, but it does fix it in the viewport. So if you're using density, I strongly recommend putting volume info and using the density out of there, and that will still allow us to change the density here. If we then go into shader, it's changed the density all the way through. So I'm going to put the density back to 1 and go back to our shader node. Now I want to make this into an emission, not a density. So I'm going to plug this into the emission strength, and I'm going to put our density down at 0. That density attribute is changed to a different name, and now we can give it a different color. We can do what we want with it, and it will work across the platform. And if we go render now, there we have our emission, and that is an emission, so it won't cast a shadow, and you can do all sorts of weird and wonderful effects with it. And we can plug pretty much whatever we want in the geometry nodes into that, and it will create our shape. I should also note that this works in Eevee as well. If we go up here and set this to Eevee, it still maintains its sphere shape from the geometry nodes, and its emission. If we go to render image, there we go, we've got an Eevee emission sphere. The Eevee tutorials for another time, so I'm going to go back to cycles. I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I hope that helped someone. Please leave comments. Please like, dislike, whatever you want to do. And hopefully see you soon. Thanks for watching.